In Section 3.6 Part A, our goal is to find the slope of and write equations of lines. Remember that slope is a ratio or a fraction of the vertical change to the horizontal change. So m, representing slope, is rise over run, or we could write this as y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Remember, these are subscripts and not exponents. They just talk about the order that we need to write things. You should always use the same x and y from the same point for the first part of the fraction, x and y from the same point for the second part. Whatever y you start with on top, you must start with its partner x on bottom. So our first examples, we're going to find the slope using y minus y over x minus x. So when I look at the y values, I can start with whichever one I want, as long as on the bottom I start with the corresponding x value. So I'm going to do 10 minus 7 on top. Because we started with a y value of 10, we must start with 5 on bottom. 10 minus 7 is 3, 5 minus 3 is 2, and I could either leave it 3 halves or I can make it 1.5. We do prefer 3 over 2 because we will be plugging in these slopes to find some other things. Example 2, again, we're using our slope formula, y minus y over x minus x, and I'm going to go large minus small. For my y's on top, 9 minus 8. Since we started with 9 on top, we must start with the partner x, 5 on bottom. 9 minus 8 is 1, and 5 minus 2 is 3, so we get 1/3. Please take a moment to pause the video and find the slopes for the next few problems. Number 3, if we find the slope, y minus y over x minus x, we're going to do 12 minus 7. And because we started with 12 on top, we must start with the 4 on bottom. 12 minus 7 is 5. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. So we get a negative 5 halves. Still using the slope formula. For this one, we're going to do 6 minus 3 for the top. Since we started with 6 on top, I'm going to start with the 1 on bottom. So we'll have 1 minus a negative 2. Minus a negative turns into plus a positive. 6 minus 3 on top is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. And this reduces to a slope of 1. Please pause the video and try example 5. For example 5, it's y minus y over x minus x. I'm going to do negative 5 minus 4. Be really careful that you get the negative that's in the problem, in the formula, and also on the numbers. Since I started with negative 5 first, on bottom I'm going to start with negative 1 minus negative 6. And I'm going to make those changes. Some of you do same change. Make sure the first number stays the same. Your minus becomes a plus, and you change the sign on the second number. Negative 5 plus negative 4 is negative 9. Negative 1 plus 6 is positive 5. So we have a slope of negative 9/5. The improper fraction is perfectly fine for these because we'll need to plug in the slope to find the equations of lines. Number 6, still using y minus y over x minus x. And I'm labeling my x's and y's to remind myself that x is always the first number, y is the second. So I'm going to do negative 4 minus negative 3 over 2 minus negative 2. And again, I'm going to do my change. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. 2 plus 2 is 4. So our slope is negative 1/4. For number 7, I would like to get a positive value for my y, so I'm actually going to start with the 6 and do 6 minus 2. Because I started with the 6 on top, I must start with the 0 on bottom. 6 minus 2 is 4. 0 minus 5 is negative 5, and our slope is negative 4/5. You can do this in either order. If you did 2 minus 6 on top, you must start with 5 on bottom, and you would get negative 4 over positive 5, which is the same answer. The next example asks us to find the slope from a graph. You can still use your slope formula with your x and y, but remember, from a graph you can count. So if I'm counting up or to the right, it's positive. Down or to the left is negative. So I'm going to start with my y's, and I'm going to go from this first point to the second point. So to go from 4, 1 to 1, 4, I would have to go up 3 and left 3. Going up 3 is positive. Going left 3 is a negative 3. So we get a slope of negative 1. Remember, you can count or you can use your formula. Postulate 17, remember postulates we accept without proof. Postulate 17 says that in the coordinate plane, two non-vertical, not straight up or down lines, are parallel if and only if they have the same slope. Any two vertical lines are always parallel. They're the ones with the undefined slopes. So we're going to find out if the lines are parallel, yes or no. To be parallel, they must have the exact same slope. So our slope number 1 is 2 over 3, and slope number 2 is negative 2 over 3. Because this first one is positive, it would rise from left to right. The second one would fall. No, these are not exactly the same. They are not parallel. Number 2, the first slope is 1/5. The second one is also 1/5. So yes, those lines are parallel. We're also going to write equations of lines, and we're going to use y equals mx plus b. I will also talk about using point slope, y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1, but all of your final answers must be left in slope-intercept form. Remember that in y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept, m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. The first type, we're going to give you the slope and give you the y-intercept, and you're going to plug those in for y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to start y equals m, my slope is 2/3, times x, plus b, my y-intercept, is 6. All of your final answers for equations of lines must have the letter y, the letter x, a slope, and an intercept. Example 2 is still type 1, given the slope and the y-intercept. So again, we can write the answer. Y equals m is negative 4, x plus b is 2. And this is my final answer. Y equals negative 4x plus 2. Please pause the video and try the next two examples. Example 3, using y equals mx plus b. Slope m is 1/4. That's always next to the x. Your b is negative 3, so you could either put minus 3 or you could put 1/4 x plus negative 3. It is the same answer. Number 4, our slope is negative 7/9, so y equals negative 7/9 x plus b. B is a negative 1. You could put minus 1, or again, you could put plus negative 1. Number 5, the slope m is 6, so y equals 6x. Since b is 0, you could put plus 0, or you could just leave it y equals 6x. Wow, Daisy. The second type of problem we're going to work with writing equations is type number 2, given the slope and a point on the line. We'll be solving these two ways. We'll use our our slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, and our point-slope form, y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity x minus x sub 1. However, which one you use is up to you, but you must leave your answers in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. I almost have all the information I need to write the equation of the line. I have y equals my slope 5x plus, and we're missing b, so we need a way to find this. What we're going to do is we're going to use our slope and our point, our xy, plug in everything we know, and find the missing b. Y is 3, that's the y value from the point, m is 5, x is 2, that's the x value from the point, and plus b, because b is what we're trying to find. If we solve this, 5 times 2 is 10, and to get b by itself, we're going to subtract 10. So b is negative 7. Now, I need to remember that to write the equation of a line, I need to have y equals my slope 5 times x plus my b value, so minus 7 or plus negative 7. If you would like to use the point slope form, that's fine. Your first y stays a y, minus y sub 1 is the value from the point, so 3, equals m is the 5. The first x stays x, minus x sub 1 is the value from the point, so we're going to plug in the 2. Then we need to solve. So y minus 3 equals 5x distributing minus 10. And we want to leave this in y equals mx plus b, so we're going to add 3 to each side. And we get y equals 5x minus 7. Either way, you'll get the exact same answers. All of your answers must be left in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to go ahead and work this one twice also so you can see both forms. You do not have to work these twice. You're going to pick the method you like best. I do recommend trying a couple of problems using the other method just in case you go blank on your method when you get to the test. Again, all answers need to be left in y equals mx plus b form. So for number 2, I know y from the point is negative 1, m is 2/3, x is 9. However, since I'm multiplying by a fraction, I'm going to put 9 over 1 plus b. We have two fractions being multiplied. We can cancel before we multiply. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And if we multiply across, 2 times 3 is 6, and the ones on bottom disappear. To get b by itself, we're going to subtract 6, which is the same thing as adding a negative. And b is negative 7. So my final answer would be y equals the slope we were given, 2/3 x, plus a negative 7 or minus 7. Again, if you want to use point slope, the first y stays y, and the first x stays x. Y sub 1 is the y value from the point, so negative 1. Make sure you get the minus that's in the formula and the negative. Slope is 2/3, and our x value is 9. Minus a negative turns into plus 1, and if we distribute, we get 2/3 x minus, I'm going to go off to the side and do 2/3 times 9. Again, 3 divided by 3 is 1, 9 divided by 3 is 3, so we get minus 6. To get y by itself, we subtract 1, and y is 2/3 x minus 7. The third type of equation writing we're going to do is given 2 points on a line. You're not given any information but these 2 points, so you need to start at the beginning and find your slope. So we're going to find slope using our formula, y minus y over x minus x. I'm going to do 9 minus 4, trying to keep positive numbers. Since I started with 9 on top, I must start with 6 on bottom. 9 minus 4 is 5, and 6 minus 3 is 3. So I know my slope for writing my equation is 5/3. The other piece of information you need is one of these 2 points. So you're going to pick one point to use and plug in. I would pick 3, 4 because they're smaller numbers. They're both positive, going to be easy to use. Then it becomes a type 2 problem. I'm going to solve this using y equals mx plus b. Y from my point is 4. The m that we found is 5/3. X from the point is 6, and again I'm going to make that 6 over 1 since we're multiplying by a fraction. If we cancel, on the bottom 3 divided by 3 is 1, and on the top 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then we're going to multiply the tops. So we have 4 equals 10 plus b. To get b by itself, we subtract 10, and we find that b is negative 6. So my final answer would be y equals 5/3, that's the slope we found, times x minus 6. You can also solve this using your point slope. So I'm still going to use the point 3, 4. So y minus 4 is our y value from the point equals 5/3 that we found for slope times the quantity x minus 3, the x value from the point. Using our distributive property, we get y minus 4 equals 5/3 x minus this 3 on bottom and the 3 on top cancel, and we get 5. This may be a candy problem. I just found an error. So I got for this one y equals 5/3 x minus 1. However, if you look back at the first problem, that's not what I got. There is an error over here. When I plugged in, instead of using the 3 for x, I plugged in a 6. So I'm going to go back and correct this. Those 3's would cancel. We get 4 equals 5 plus b. And if we subtract 5, we find that b is negative 1, which does then give me a correct answer of y equals 5/3 x minus 1. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one, then you'll know if I make a mistake. Pause and try this one. When you unpause, we'll discuss what answer you got. We're going to start by finding the slope, y minus y, over x minus x. I'm going to start with a y value of 9 because 9 is larger than 4. Since we started with the 9 on top, we must start with the x value of 4 on bottom. 9 minus 4 is 5. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. So I'm going to be using a slope of 5 over negative 4 or negative 5/4. Again, you can pick whichever point you want. Multiplying the slope by an x that's 4 will cause some things to cancel out nicely. So I'm going to pick 4, 9. We're going to solve this both ways so you see and can help you decide which method you like best. Using the point we picked and the slope we found, the y value from the point is 9. Our slope is negative 5/4. The x value is 4 over 1 plus b. And even though my 4's cancel, I still need to keep this negative sign. So we have 9 equals negative 5 plus b. To get b by itself, we add 5 to both sides. And b is 14. So my final answer is y equals negative 5/4 x plus 14. Remember, all of your final answers should have the letter y, the letter x, your slope, and your y-intercept. Using point slope, first y and the first x, stay x and y. The y value from the point was 9. The slope we found was negative 5/4, and the x value from the point was 4. So we have y minus 9 equals, and distributing, we have negative 5/4 x minus, and when we multiply negative 5/4 by 4, the 4's are going to cancel and we get negative 5. Or you could do a negative times a negative turns into a positive. To solve for y, I'm going to add 9 to both sides. And we get y equals negative 5/4 x plus 14. Remember, all answers need to be left in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Tomorrow when you come in, we'll review some problems and work on handout 3C.